Welcome to Whispers from the Phylactery. If you're new, I've been a game runner and storyteller for over 15 years now, and I like to talk about various aspects of tabletop role-playing games, whether that's encounter design to styles of play or just different role-playing game systems in general, along with a healthy dose of occasional rambling. So if that's your style, then welcome, let's get into it. The question that we're sort of musing on today is, can you still have fun with rules lawyers? And this is sort of a tricky one because, well, rules lawyers, as we see the term, is very hard. It's all encompassing. And that is not exactly what I think of when I think of rules lawyers. Just because for me, there are different types. You have people that go into it super hard and they know all of the rules. Well, okay, so the common denominator here is that they know all the rules, but it comes down to intent. You have people that use the knowledge of the rules to try and cheat the system, to min-max and get as much leverage as possible. You have people that outright try to cheat, and they will only bring up rules that are important for them, but they won't bring up any rules that are important for anyone else's character or for the DM. Then you have people that just like to know the rules, and they're kind of sticklers for the rules to the point where it interrupts gameplay. And you have people that just like to also know the rules, and they apply it evenly across the board. They're a repository of information. And for me, that's, well, I mean, the different variations really matter because some are problematic players at the table, and you need to ask them either to, well, correct the behavior or to step away if they are disrupting things, if they're lying to the rest of the table, if they're not playing as a group. And it's particularly these kinds that can give people a bad taste when they're thinking about rules lawyers or people that know the rules too much. They make the GM's life harder, and if there's new players, then it's like, oh, that's what we're supposed to do? Like, man, that guy's kind of a jerk. Why would we want to play with that guy? And it leads to party conflict. I know for myself, yes, you can play with rules lawyers. Why? I am a rules lawyer. But I like to think of myself as, one of the terms I've seen online is rules sage. For me, the neurospicy in my brain, I really enjoy knowing a system, how it works, the bits and bobs of it. It doesn't have to be exhaustive, but before I sit down and play a TTRPG or a board game, I like to browse through the rules because that makes my brain happy. And why I say I'm a rules sage is, in most of the gaming groups I'm a part of, almost all of them really, if someone has a question about the rules, or the GM has a question about the rules, then they typically turn to me and ask what the rule is, at least the default one in the book. And then the GM can either accept it and go with it, or they can change it if it's what suits them. But it is helpful having someone at the table that just enjoys knowing what the base rule should be, including when it bites me in the butt. I will, if asked, I will offer suggestions as to what the ruling should be. I don't like to just do it out of hand unless I'm the GM, because then it's my job to arbitrate, or if someone asks me. If I'm specifically asked not to do it, well, then I shut up. I make a little note for after the game to ask the GM, like, okay, this happened. Like, is this how we're doing it going forward? I just want to know about this particular instance. Like, the fighter jumped this far. That isn't how it's done in the base book. Are we doing it this way going forward? So I know. And then I just update my little mental tracker, which isn't the best. I should really jot things down more. But I don't. So for me, it really matters the level, because I've played with all different types of rules lawyers, and some used it for evil and only brought things up when it mattered for their character, and well, others were more like me, and then they brought it up for everything, and they. I try to be good natured about it, and as time's gone on, I mean, I really don't have patience for people that are picking and choosing which rules that they want their characters to enforce. Um, if they're a rules lawyer or just someone that knows the rules and it's like, oh, yes, well, this rule helped, and I'm going to conveniently ignore this rule right beside it, that I'm just not going to read those 2 lines of text right there out loud. I read the top 3 lines, that's fine. The spell works like this. You don't need to know more. Like that's a problem. You need to not do that. Yeah. So, I mean, that is just really, I find the basis of everything is we're playing the game together, we're trying to do it cooperatively, and we're trying to all have a good time. We don't really need to fudge the rules to do that. And I get that some people do that because that's their fun and that, but I don't need that kind of fun at my table. So if you do have issues with rules lawyers or people that are maliciously using the rules, a few strikes policy, it depends on how egregious it is. If it's minor fudging and they just don't bring things up all the time, you need to keep an extra eye on them. And maybe it is from a place of they just didn't fully understand the rule. So you ask them to explain what the rule does, or if I think it'll be a big problem during the session, I will just make a note of it. We'll carry on. Okay, I try to make a note of it and carry on. I am bad for slowing down and sort of getting into the weeds about things. I can be a bit too much of a stickler for the rules in a crunchy system, even in a non-crunchy system. It's a bit of a problem. But if it's something that isn't super blatant and it's not the end of the world, we keep the game going. I write it down. I bring it up after the session's over and just ask, hey, can you explain how that ability works to me? I'm not sure what you were doing there, and then clarify it. If this happens repetitively, that's time for a talk. Like, hey, I really need you to learn your character because you keep doing these things, it's giving you advantages over the rest of the party, and it's slowing down gameplay when we need to stop and figure out what this ability actually does, why it's a problem. If it's something where I've caught people just doing it repetitively, even after calling it out, then it's like, well, maybe our group isn't going to work for you. I'm sorry, but we've given you a chance to correct the behavior. It's not happening. Or if they're butting in, if controlling other people's characters, well, no, the rules don't say that. The rules are you should do this, this, and this. I'm not super thrilled about that. People should be able to play how they want to play. So I have a little bit less leniency there. Overall, every table is going to handle it a little differently. And I think it's important to just understand that we're all playing a tabletop RPG because it's what we enjoy, ideally. And we all play a little bit differently. Our joy comes a little bit differently. And we're all having different human experiences. Let's not yuck others' yum. But we shouldn't tolerate other people continuously yucking our yum. Protect your yum. I mean, it's a tricky question. Can you have fun with rules lawyers? And I think that, yes, it depends. Yes, with an asterisk caveat. Rule sages, yes. People that just like to know the rules, yes. And I mean, it can happen where someone's being difficult about using it to their advantage, and then they can be coaxed into being more of a team player and just not always mentioning it. Great. If you're just a repository for information, fantastic. Just as long as they're not interrupting the game. So, yeah, I suppose that's all of the thoughts I have on this one. Thank you for spending time with me today, thinking through this and just chatting about it. If you've got a question about running games or world building or storytelling at the table, feel free to leave it in the comments. It might become a future episode if it stimulates the gray matter enough. If you like this video, thank you for sticking around this long. Consider hitting the like button, leaving a comment as above, or subscribing for new episodes, new talks, new questions. Until next time, take care.